Yes, everyone. Hello, my name is Michiko. I'm also based in Adelaide, Australia, part of the coordination team for the Bridge Book Club. And it's nice to see new people and familiar faces. So welcome, everyone. Welcome, feel free to contact the team through WhatsApp or even during this Zoom session or any of the meetings if you have any questions at all. We want to welcome you again to the first book club meeting for Intermissive Course with the author Tathiana Mota. For those of you who are new, the Bridge Book Club is a monthly meeting for those interested in discussing books related to the consciential paradigm, which we'll talk about a little bit later, but also any related topics. And it's just a nice forum for people to get together, English speakers all over the world, to discuss, these topics and these books, and to bring our ideas and share our experiences. So just before I pass it on to our facilitator tonight, want to go over some of the logistics of the meeting. We do record our meetings because we do have people who can't attend due to the time zone differences. And they will be watching the recordings, which we will be uploading to our YouTube channel, as well as making available the link on our website. So typically our meetings are about an hour and 45 minutes, and we'll try our best to stick to the time. And we might have time for some breakout rooms where we can get together and talk in smaller groups. And those will not be recorded. So we'll stop the recording during those times, and then we'll come back and turn the recordings on again. So just one last reminder, it's always nice to put your name and maybe the city or country where you're dialing in from on Zoom. And please feel free to use the chat function. You can use the raise your hand function, or simply unmute yourself if you have something to say or to ask, okay? So if this is informal in that way, please feel comfortable, feel free to speak up at any time. And I'll hand it over to Tathiana.
Okay, hello everyone. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the book club. It is so good to see all of you there and see some lovely faces again. For those who haven't met me yet, I'm Tathiana Mota. I'm from Brazil. I currently live in Australia, in Queensland. And I'm the author of the book that we are going to be discussing throughout this year. The first thing I wanted to tell you is that it would be awesome if you guys could put your names and where you are from. As Michiko said, this would help me a lot. And it would be so good to see where you guys are at the moment, okay? Okay, let's go ahead. Have you guys got the book? No? Yes? It's coming? I have mine. Good. So we are going to be discussing this book. In each session, we are going to be discussing 2 chapters of the book. And I'm going to, today, it's an introduction. And I'm going to share my slides with you guys. Just hold on. Let's see if I can do it now. Okay. So when I thought about, a few months ago, Magali and I were talking, and then Michiko as well, and Kim in Adelaide, I started to think about how I would be facilitating a book club that I am the author. This is the weirdest thing. Like, how can this happen? So I started to think about the main idea of my book, which is help people reflect on their realities, on themselves, and their life projects, what they have to do in this life at this moment. So this is the main idea of the book. Use the content of the Intermissive Course to help the reader to reflect on their own lives, their own priorities, their mission, whatever they need to do in this lifetime, right? And this is what we're gonna do. We are going to use the book as an excuse to think about ourselves and our reality, okay? But obviously, we are going to discuss the theme of the book and the content as well, right? But before we go ahead, this is our book club, okay? Let's pretend we are in a room, all of us together, reading the book and talking about the Intermissive Course. This is the idea, or this is the feeling that, or the energies that I want, or I hope that we can have throughout the book club. To have an atmosphere that we feel comfortable to talk about our questions, the things we didn't understand about the chapter, anything about the content, questions, comments, some personal experiences. So the more we feel comfortable in this during this time, the better. So if you don't have it now, bring your tea. Have your tea. I have my tea here. So have some tea and relax, and let's talk about the themes that we are going to be discussing throughout the year, okay? Good. So, but first we need to get to know each other, right? If we're going to be sitting all together in this room and talking about the book, we need to get to know each other. So I'm going to ask you now, it's to do a quick introduction, each one of us. It's just pretty simple. Just tell your name, what's your favorite book or the book genre that you like, how did you hear about the book club, and why you were interested about this theme, about this book, okay? Pretty quick, so we get to know each other, and then we go ahead. Who wants to start?
Okay, I will start. My name is Sergi Janssens. I live just north of Brisbane, about an hour's drive north. Well, my favourite book is probably by Michael Tellinger, and it's, I can't remember the title, but it's about the Anunnaki, the god species, the slave species of the gods. That's really my favourite book, I think. I did a course.
What is the name of the book again, Sergey?
Slave Species of the Gods. Okay, and I went to the energy workshop in Adelaide a while ago, where I met Tathiana and Kim and others. So that's how I got contacted about this book. Why am I interested in this theme? It's just interesting, I think. Sort of a bit confused about how I'm here, I must admit. But anyway, I'm interested. That's it. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, I'll go next. My name is Fernandes. I live in Adelaide. I'm Michiko's partner. And my favorite book probably is Musashi. And it was like 4 volumes about this Japanese samurai or something. But not necessarily the genre that I'm interested now. And I've been attending all the book clubs since the first book club meeting, so that's why I'm attending this one as well. Yeah, and the relation to this book specifically is about find my proaxis and my. So that I came across this quote this week, like. The purpose of life is to find or the life purpose is to find a purpose for life, something like that. And I said, oh, that's very interesting. And I think has everything to do with this book. That's it.
Who's next?
Oh, I can introduce myself. My name is Felipe. My favorite, okay, I don't have a favorite book, but I have some favorite books. Currently, one that I am really excited to read is this one, or Human History. Is from Chris Stringer. He is an anthropologist. So I am a primatologist. And this kind of books is the kind of books that I like to read on anthropology, evolutionary biology. Not technical book, but in general, human evolution. I heard about the book club in the WhatsApp group that I am a register in this WhatsApp group. And this theme is one I am interested to read more about this aspect because it's something that I had never studied before. And at the same time, for me, is something like abstract idea, but that I think it makes a lot of sense because I can somehow connect this with what I'm doing. So it's really, I'm really excited to explore more and take this opportunity to study this subject that is I never had studied before. So that's why I'm here.
Awesome. Who else?
May I continue? So I am Adina. I am from Romania. It is very difficult to tell what is my favorite book. We are talking about what kind of books where, well, but I can say I have two important books, right? Important in this life for me. And probably I have some seriexological reasons to say that they are important. One of them is The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde, and the other one is a classical Japanese book, The Story of Genji, of a Japanese writer, Murasaki Shikibu. And well, of course, I love conscientiology. Conscientiology in a Romanian language, Intermissive Course, that is already translated by a good friend of us. She translated from English and I revised it with a Portuguese version, with the original. And what else here? With us are a few other colleagues from our group in Romania. And if I am allowed, I will speak also for them because they were a little bit afraid to speak in English. They understand very well English, but they are, I don't, for the time moment, are not ready to speak English. So Elena and Ioana and Cecilia and Maria, yes, they are all part of our Romanian group, and yeah, I'm very happy to meet them here. And well, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Who else, guys?
I can introduce myself now.
Yes.
My name is Maria. I'm from Portugal, but I'm a resident and Australian citizen already also. And so I'm in Australia already for 7.5 years. And I'm in New South Wales. Now, my favorite book, the genre that I like is mostly scientific and biographies. I like to read about people's biographies, but the book that most influenced my life, I read it many years ago. I was around 18 or 19 years old, and it was Cosmos, Carl Sagan. And it totally puts life into perspective a lot. And so it was it was more than a mark, it was a stamp on me, like, you here in this planet, but there is more, beware, there is a lot more. And now how I heard about the book club from the previous one, and information on the internet. And yeah, this subject is very interesting to me, because only recently I started having memories of the Intermissive Course, and I fully admitted that yes, I was there. And so yeah, I want to know about more, and I want to be with my group, my evolutionary group, as much as possible, be with you guys. And that's all.
Awesome. Thank you, Maria. Let's go, guys. Let's go.
Let's go what?
Let's introduce who is missing.
I will speak if it's possible, if it's okay. My name is Miki. I am from Romania. I don't know about my favorite genre because I'm still in love with literature, but I also like psychology, from time to time conscientology also. I don't know, maybe the book who I realized now that each periods of my life had a different favorite book. When I was, I don't know, 20 years ago, I was very impressed by Yogananda's book, The Autobiography of a Yogi. But now, and after a while, about Sefe, I don't know, about UFOs. And 10 years ago, when I discovered Bob Monroe's book, I was very high, and yeah, everything is changing. Yeah. And I heard about the book club from the previous book club about projectiology. And why am I interested about this theme? Because I'm curious to learn about some other aspects about myself. It's a topic I'm very curious and interested in. I have a lot of memories, and now I'm very curious to validate or invalidate them. And thank you for this opportunity to be here and discuss together about this. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you, Michaela. Anyone else?
Yes, hi. I am Grace Love. Can you hear me?
Yes.
My favorite book is The Alchemist by Paulo Coelho. And I love all the books that make me reflect on myself, on life. I heard about the book club on Facebook, and I'm interested here. I love the concept of disbelief and having my own experiences, and just want to see what unfolds, if there are any new memories that will come up throughout the book club. So thank you.
Thanks, Grace. No one else? No one else
Hello.
wants? Yes.
I want to try to tell it in English. It's not so easy for me. My favorite books are books about, okay, I'm Petra from Germany. And my favorite books are books about obese, lucid dreaming. And the favorite book is from William Buhlman, Out of Body, because it was the first step for me to recover myself. And now I'm in the part of my life which I'm very sure that I have done the big part of my praxis, but now I have time for I look for the right word for freestyle. Can I see it? To do things I like to do. And I want to write a book about my development. And so I'm very interested about you have written your book, with which intention. Okay, you understand what I mean? Okay,
Yeah.
and yes, I want to read it. It's not easy for me in English, but I will do it. And I'm very interested about the discussion between us. Okay.
Awesome. Thank you, Petra. Anyone else? No?
I can quickly share. I don't
Sure.
know if anyone has shared before. My name is Patricia. I'm from Brazil. And these are interesting questions. I was reflecting, right? Well, for the past years, I've been reading technical books and a lot of conscientiology books, and I think my interest have shifted along my life, right? And I think now I focused on books that can bring me improvement, personal improvement, and personal knowledge, group knowledge as well. So it's kind of a different thing when I was younger, right? And yeah, of course, I participate on the last book club. And my interest about this theme is that a while ago, I received this inspiration to enhance my lucid projections and try to connect with intermissivists out of the body, you know, like this join the team style. And it has to do with a specific, this book, the Intermissive Course book. So I bought it. I don't have it in Portuguese. I only have the English version. And let's see. So I have a great expectation in this book club.
That's awesome. Great to see you, Patricia.
Great to see you all. Thank you, guys.
Oh, there is a baby cat as well.
Yeah.
Cute. Okay, anyone else wants to introduce themselves? Okay, so let's go ahead then. If anyone else wants to talk, we'll have plenty of time, and whenever you want to speak anything and you haven't introduced yourself, just do it, right? Cool. Okay, guys, now that we sort of feel more comfortable sitting together, let's go ahead, right? First thing I wanted to show you guys is that today we are having the first meeting. We are having some key concepts that I'm going to introduce. And in case there is anyone who doesn't know a lot about the science conscientiology, which is the science that we study and research, just feel free to ask any questions you might have. This is the opportunity for you to have some information about these themes, okay? So feel free to ask any questions that you have, and I'll do my best to help you understand these themes, okay? So today I'm going to first introduce myself a little, right? Why I wrote this book, and it's just something that's happened in my life because I started to have parapsychic experiences when I was young, when I was a child. And I remember when I was, I don't know, maybe 6 years old, I used to have this nostalgia and miss a place and people that I didn't know. So I would look at the sky and have that feeling, like that sentiment inside of me that I didn't know what it was. But it was there. I didn't know who or where or what I was missing. And then I was growing up and became an adolescent, and just a normal adolescent with my friends, going to parties and all that, traveling. And then when I was in my 20s, I started researching about the consciousness, about bioenergies, parapsychism. I started to have some out-of-body experiences, and I was interested. I was curious to know about it. It was something that I didn't feel as something serious for my life, but I was curious to have these experiences and talk to people and go to places to learn more. But when I was 22, 23 years old, a good friend of mine died in a car accident. And this was a turning point in my life, I would say, because I started the first thing I wanted to do was to help him somehow in his new moment. And that's when I started to look for more information on how to assist or to help this friend of mine in the extra-physical dimensions. So from there to becoming a volunteer in conscientiology and studying and teaching and writing about these themes was just like something really quick. Yeah, and then just, I guess, around 1 month after my friend died, I had an extra-physical experience with him. And it was really interesting because I was actually able to communicate with him and see that all my effort that I had at that moment to help him somehow worked. So that gave me strength to actually, take these experiences more seriously in terms of assistance. But anyway, why did I write this book? Many years ago, I had one experience where I felt myself out of my body, and then I saw I was in a different environment, and this environment was a university. I was in the outside area. There was like a lot of green areas, and many people around, many students. And at that moment, I saw some people that knew me, that they were happy to see me, but I didn't know them. And I was like, who are they? And they were like waving at me, saying hi and happy to see me. And I was happy to see them as well, but I didn't know where I knew them from. And when I got lucid in my body again, when I woke up, I realized that that place was a place I was before I was born, a place where I was studying to prepare myself for this life. And that was, those people were my friends, my colleagues, that I used to interact with them before I was born. So this experience was really life-changing for me. And years later, I thought I wanted to write a book. And then I didn't know what I was going to write about. And suddenly, after I was started to think about it, I started to remember this experience that had happened, I don't know, 10, 15 years before that moment. And I started thinking about it all the time. Remember the feelings, the sensations, the ideas. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe that's what I need to write about. And that's when I started to write about the Intermissive Course, because I felt that this way I would be able to inspire people and help people have the same experience that I had. And this is why I started writing this book. But we'll be having more opportunities to discuss these experiences. And I want to hear your experiences as well, right? So we are going to be exchanging ideas throughout these months till the end of the year. Okay, good. So now you're going to the second topic, definitions of Intermissive Course. So I'm going to show you, before we go to the definitions, this image. And I'm going to ask you a question. This is the question. Where were you 2 years before you were born? Have you ever thought about it? Where were you 2 years before you were born? Where, in which reality were you? Who were you with? What were you doing? How were you feeling? How are you preparing for your life that you have now? So this is a very interesting question that I heard someone ask many, many years ago, and I was like in shock, because I was like, what? I had never thought about it. So when we talk about the Intermissive Course, and I'm going to give the definition of Intermissive Course soon, we talk about our reality before we were born, how we planned to face the challenges of this life that we are having now, right? What tools did we take? What knowledge that we learned that could help us at this moment in this life. So this is the first thing that I want you guys to think, because when we start thinking about this, we start connecting ourselves to these energies of our extra-physical hometown, the place where we came from, right? And this is important for us to think when we are studying my book, okay? Cool. And then I want to share this with you guys. I'm going to explain this, and then we are going to have some thoughts on this, okay? So this graphic shows the life or lives and intraphysical version 2023, okay? As an average, the life we have now in the intraphysical life, okay? So we have here, this is our lives, starting with childhood, then adolescence, adulthood, maturity, and old age. So usually when we are born, in terms of levels of energy, we have lots of energy, right? Have lots of energy. Andina, I'll be right there with you, okay? I'll just finish this and I'll get back to you, just for us to have an idea of this graphic. So when we are born, we have tons of energy, right? Our energy levels are high. If you have kids, you know what I'm talking about, right? And if you don't have kids, you were a child once, so you know what I'm talking about as well. So lots of energy. So throughout our lives, these levels of energy are being used, and in the end, we'll have much less energy in the end of our lives, right? On the other hand, in terms of maturity, can you guys see my mouse where I'm pointing to or not? Yes? Okay,
Yep,
good.
you can see.
So in terms of maturity, when we are born here in red, we don't have a lot of maturity. We are immature, right? And throughout our lives, our experiences, the knowledge we get, the lessons the life gives us, teaches us, the situations that we go through, help us develop a higher level of maturity, right? And what happens when we are born? So we are born, we have no maturity, lots of energy, start having our lives recuperating the levels of lucidity that we used to have when we were in the extra-physical dimensions. But life has a flow, right? An intra-physical life. So when we get to the adolescence, or when we are young, we start to go to university, work, and fly away from home, right? Working to be independent and all that. And then after that, we find someone we love, we like, a good person, we get married. And when we get married, what is the next step? Having kids, right? Having kids. So we have kids, we have this new priority for the next 18, 20 years, take care of these kids. But we have our careers as well, right? We need to develop our careers. We need to make a difference, right? Look for success, make money. And all this takes time and takes energy, right? And then after years and years and years, we finally achieve what we are all looking for, retirement. That's when we are going to be free. Our kids are going to be away. We are going to have made our career, made money, be successful, and then we are going to retire to live the life we want. Probably with a much higher level of maturity than when we started this life. But our energies, we have no energy anymore to use all this maturity. And we don't have much time anymore to use all this maturity, right? So this setting of life for some people doesn't work, doesn't match, it doesn't, it just doesn't work. And why does it happen? Sometimes people are young and they don't feel like that their life is just a matter of like working, getting married, having kids, having a career, and then retiring and then dying. They feel there's something else they need to do. They feel this is not enough. They feel that they don't want to follow the flow that everyone else is following. And they want to do something different. They are looking for something else besides of this life. So we have been living like this, more or less, right? For lives and lives and lives and many thousands of years and lives. So there is a moment in our evolution that we just stop and say, that's enough. That's enough. I don't want to have a life like this anymore. And that's when the person starts looking for something else, for a life that is more meaningful, that makes a difference to themselves and to other people in their community. And that's when these people start looking for some qualification before they are born. They want to prepare their lives better and they want to create some challenges and some life project that they can fulfill when they are born. And that's when the intermissive courses happen. These courses, they are sorts of training that the consciousness or the individual can experience before they are born to prepare themselves for this life. And this is the main idea, why the intermissive course is there, to help us, to give us tools and knowledge to live a life that is different from this, that we have had, that we have lived for millennia, right? But before I go ahead, let's see who wanted to ask questions. Andina, right?
Oh, yeah. I apologize, I have interrupted you.
No
And
problem.
if you don't mind, my question is about the previous slide about
No
the
problem.
question. Yeah, so the question was where we were 2 years before we were born. Why 2 years? Is it a 2 years symbolically used to refer to intermissive course? Why it's not, I don't know, 3 years, 5 years before we were born, or 1 month before we were born? I don't know. Or this 2 year period has a specific importance, significance. I don't know, maybe we need 2 years to prepare our praxis. So why 2 years and not 5, 3, or I don't know?
Adina, that's a great question. That's a great question. So, well, around 1 year before we are born, we are in the process of preparing, right, to actually be born. So 9 months before we are already in our mom's belly and stuff, our level of lucidity is too low. And so it doesn't really gives us a lot of information on our extra physical preparation, right? 2 years is just a number that we can start to think about, because 2 years before we probably were, if we were doing an intermissive course, in, you know, like high level of qualification and preparation and studies and lucidity and discernment and ethics and all those, you know, attributes that are more evolved, active. So that's it. But it's just for us to start thinking. It could be 5 years before as well, 10 years before as well. The more we can download in terms of information to our brain on our previous extra-physical moments before we were born, the better, right? But this is just for a start, right? That's it. Okay? Good. Guys,
Thank you. Thank you a lot.
Any other questions before we go ahead about these slides? Okay. So this is one life, right? So it's like a cycle, right? We have the intraphysical life, and then we die, and then we have an extraphysical life, and then we are born again. And this is like what during this period that we are in the extraphysical dimension, that we die, we are aware in the extraphysical dimension, not the physical dimension anymore. And we start to look for some training. And here I have the definition of the intermissive course. So the intermissive course is a specialized extra-physical training that includes a set of disciplines taught in innovative ways during the intermissive period aiming at building capacity for the group Maxi Proexis. So what is a Maxi Proexis? It's a huge existential program, a mission that a group has to do together, right? It's like a big puzzle, and each person is a piece of the puzzle with their responsibilities. So the intermissive courses prepare this group, each piece with their best traits, best abilities and talents, and put them together in a way that they can work together and create some big change, some relevant change in humanity, okay? And they happen in the extra-physical dimensions, right? We call intermissive period is the period that is between intraphysical lives, okay? So if we have an idea of this cycle, just for us to have an idea, so we have this period up here is the extra-physical period that we live when we don't have a physical body anymore. And down here, the intraphysical period is just like this one we have now, right? We are using our physical bodies, and we are living this intraphysical life, right? So when we are in the extraphysical dimensions, there is this moment at birth, we are born in the intraphysical dimension, we are living our lives, and then in the end, we go through death and have this extraphysical period. So this is called intermission, okay? The period where we are in the extraphysical dimensions. And that's why intermissive course is the course that we study in the intermission, is this period between intraphysical lives, okay? Good. So let's go ahead. What is intermissive course? So we have already the definition, right? Is this set of training that we can experience before we are born to prepare us for the challenges of human life. Who is the intermissivist? Intermissivists are the people who do the course, okay? They are the students of the intermissive courses. If we are now here in the intraphysical dimension and we studied an intermissive course, we are intermissivists, right? And if you are an extraphysical consciousness, you are not in the physical, using the physical body, you are in the extraphysical dimensions, and you are studying and preparing yourself for the intermissive course, you are an intermissivist as well. Kim, you want to ask a question?
Actually, I just want to point out there was a question in the chat that Grace asked about what is the free part at the end of the cycles of lives?
Okay, I'll get back there. Okay, so you see we have extra-physical lives that we are living in the extra-physical dimensions, right? And intraphysical lives, when we are born, we have this intraphysical experience, and then extraphysical experiences and intraphysical. So every time we have this experience of having an intraphysical life and extraphysical life, we are throughout evolution, the idea is that every time we have an extraphysical period and then apply this knowledge in the intraphysical life, we are evolving, right? We are honing our talents, our skills. We are overcoming our difficulties, our difficult traits, our bad traits. We are trying to work to develop a higher level of maturity, ethic, respect, and more mature levels of manifestation, right? And this is this cycle of being born and in the intraphysical life, in the extraphysical life, is what we call personal multi-existential cycle. So it's a cycle of millions and millions of years and lives that we have been experiencing as part of our evolution, until we come to a moment that we are free of this cycle, because all the lessons that we need to learn, we have learned using this intraphysical body in this intraphysical life, using this brain that we have, all the capacity of this brain. And when we come to a point that we have developed all the intelligences and the experiences that we can in this cycle, right? We are free consciousness. We are free of this cycle. We go to a different cycle where we don't need to be reborn and die in the extra-physical dimension and reborn again and dead and reborn again. We start to manifest ourselves with a different kind of body, not this physical body. So we are free consciousness, okay? This is gonna happen in theory, in our case here, like a long, let's get used to this life, okay? For many times still. We are still in a level that we need these experiences, but there are consciousnesses that already have gone through this, okay, and live in the extra-physical dimensions, just with more subtle bodies and not the intraphysical body like this one we have, okay? Good. Let's go ahead. Existential series is just
sorry, Tathiana. There's a few more questions in the chat. I'm just
okay, let's go ahead.
I would like to encourage everybody to sort of, in the spirit that Tathiana suggested in the beginning, that we're all sitting around together having a yarn. You feel free to put your hand up, I reckon, and then just if you're comfortable to speak, I think that would be nice, that we all get to sort of interact. So maybe Grace, if you're happy to ask, you've got a couple of follow-up questions, and then Sergey has another question, a separate question.
Yes, thank you. I didn't want to interrupt. So Tathiana, you mentioned that after the cycle, then you're free consciousness. I have two questions. One is, what kind of, you said about manifesting a different body. Is it possible to have different bodies, different dimensions, or is there a particular one that you have in mind? And also, is it possible to return back to the human cycle after being free consciousness?
Okay. So let me go back to the previous. Okay, maybe this will help. Okay, so experiences, out-of-body experiences and scientific experiments with parapsychic specialists have shown that we can manifest ourselves through different bodies. It's like a vehicle, like a car, right? So we have our consciousness. When we say consciousness, we say this individuality that each one of us have, right? Each person is different. There are no people with exactly the same individuality. You have like twin brothers or sisters, they are totally different, right? So the consciousness we have is ours, is our individuality, but we use vehicles to manifest ourselves. And for example, now in the intraphysical dimension, I have the physical body here, right? In this image that I'm showing you here, this is the physical body. In conscientiology, we call this physical body soma, okay? It's a term that relates to the intraphysical body, the body that we know very well, right? So in the intraphysical dimension, we need to use this body, right? Another body that we have is the energosoma, is the body of energies. So when you, for example, relax, you sit down and relax and start working with your energies, you can start feeling these energies throughout your body. So this is the second body that we can use, and we have, all of us have, when we are manifesting ourselves in the intraphysical dimension, like now, we are using the physical body, and we have the energetic body as well, even though we haven't, you have never perceived it or seen it, it's there, okay? It's just a matter of practicing and developing your energies to feel. Another body that we have, that is a vehicle of manifestation as well, the consciousness uses this body, is the psychosoma. This body is like, you know, when people talk in religion about the soul, the spirit, some people see spirits. Usually what they see is the consciousness manifesting themselves in the psychosoma, through the psychosoma, which is a more subtle body with different characteristics that we all have. We do have as well, even here manifesting in the intraphysical dimension, we have the psychosoma. When we have an experience out of our body, and I'm going to show you another photo soon, image, we don't use the physical body anymore. We use the psychosoma to manifest in the extra-physical dimensions, okay? And the other body that we have, we call mental soma, is the mental body, is a body that has no shape. You see, it's represented just like a ball of energy. It's more subtle, and it relates to all our intellectuality, the more evolved sentiments and ideas, and we can manifest, we can use this body as well in extra physical dimensions that are really, really subtle, okay? But when we are free consciousness, says that we go through all that cycle that I showed you, and we go to the end of that cycle, we stop using the physical body. We don't need to live the intraphysical life anymore, right? We don't need to use these more dense energies anymore of the energosoma. And we don't need to use the psychosoma anymore, this more subtle body in the extra-physical dimensions. So we start using just this very, very subtle body. So in this level of evolution, the consciousnesses have a very, very higher, much higher level of maturity that we call holomaturity. It's like a level of maturity in all kinds of manifestation. And in this case, when we are free consciousnesses, that we don't use these bodies anymore, we cannot come back and reactivate these bodies because we just don't need them anymore. We go to different spheres of manifestation. It's like, how can I say that? Let's say, if you know the matryoshkas, those Russian dolls, that they are like a little one inside of the other, inside of the other. You have the little, you know, you open one doll and then there is another one, there is another one. So once you take all these and you have only one left, you just are free of all those layers that you just don't need to use anymore. You just get rid of them, right? You don't need them anymore. But you don't die. The consciousness doesn't die, doesn't finish, doesn't end. They start manifesting themselves and doing other kind of stuff. Don't ask me what they do, okay? But in a different level of maturity, right? These consciousnesses, when they get to this level of maturity, they the level of assistance that they do is related not only to this planet, but to other planets, to the cosmos, to other layers of evolution that with this brain, this little brain here, we cannot understand. But when we have an out-of-the-body experience like this one, for example, I don't know if you guys have had an experience like this one. You are sleeping and then you see yourself out of your body. You look at your bed, you see your physical body, you see you're out of your body, awake, aware, great, feeling great, more subtle. Sometimes you are just hovering in your bedroom, and it's a great sensation. And at this moment, you are using the psychosoma. You're not using the physical body to manifest yourself, right? But I know there are many other questions, so I want to hear from you guys.
Oh, Tathiana.
Yeah.
So has the intermissive courses been going on for centuries, or is this a new thing?
You have to read the book. Go read the book.
Because there's been a change in, well, I think there's been some changes in consciousness over the last century or so, or maybe I don't know.
Yeah.
So yeah, okay.
Yes, Sergey, you're right. You're right. So we can see, you can see there is a shift, right? In the last decades, some things are like happening fast, and all this comes for a reason. There is a reason, but we are going to, yeah, in the introduction we talk about this, okay? So before, like intermissive courses, like the structure that I'm presenting now, like it's sort of like an extra-physical campus of study with labs, with high technology, with professors, super well-developed structure that helps us in a technical way to prepare this life and have a life project. This started in the 1950s. But before that, there used to be some kind of training as well, but not with this level of, specificity. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
But in the book, we are going to be discussing this as well. Okay, the details.
Okay.
Okay, good.
Thank you.
Any other questions? No? Okay, so let me go ahead. Guys, overview of the book. I'm going to give you an overview of the book right now, and then we are going to discuss the first chapter, okay? If you guys have read the introduction of the book, it's not the first chapter, sorry, it's the introduction. Michiko has available the PDF for you guys if you haven't got it, okay? If you haven't received your book yet. And so the book, this is the book, right? Intermissive Course. It is a book that is based on a chapter of a treatise written by Professor Waldo Vieira. He is the person, the researcher that actually created the theory of the intermissive courses. This idea, guys, is not mine, okay? Intermissive course is not my idea. I just am translating into a more simple content the theory that is a scientific theory created by Dr. Waldo Vieira based on his extra-physical experiences, right? So in 1994, he published this treatise called 700 Experiments of Conscientiology. And this treatise is awesome, okay? It's really good. It's one of my favorite books. If I would have to tell you guys one of my favorite books, this would be the one. And one of these chapters, he talks about the Intermissive Course, and he talks about 10 traits that people who might have done an intermissive course before they were born, that they have. So he talks about these 10 characteristics, and he mentions these characteristics, and he says, if you have 5 out of these 10 characteristics, you might be someone who did an intermissive course before you were born. So it's sort of like a test. And throughout the years, Professor Valdo started calling this chapter of his treatise the intermissivist test, or the test of the intermissivist. So it's like a test, like a quiz, that you answer these 10 questions, and you can have like an idea if you have done an intermissive course or not before you were born, right? So my book is based on this chapter, this test. And what I did is, this is what we are going to do throughout the year, right? And each of these tests that we have here is one chapter of my book, okay? So we are going to be, for example, next meeting, talking about test 1 and 2, which is chapter 1 and 2 of my book, talking about the absence of mortifying doubts and sense of immortality. So each meeting we are going to have, we are going to study 2 chapters, okay? And discuss these 2 chapters. And these are items, you see in the end, we have 10 questions that all of us in the book club, will be answering by the end of the book club. So we are going to have a lot of information about ourselves to check if we have been extra-physically studying, preparing ourselves for this life with a life project, right? Or not. And this is why we are going to split the chapters, because we want to go deeper into each of them, okay? And so each of these are one of the questions of the intermissivist test, okay? So experience of innate ideas, we are going to understand what that is when we read this chapter. Self-motivation for energetic development, so people who feel the energies or who are motivated to experience the energies. Valuable utilization of the human life, people who have a sense of that they have to do something more meaningful in their lives, right? Conviction regarding existential seriality, so people who have this conviction that they don't die in the end of this life and it's over, right? There is an extra physical life. I'm not gonna die. I have my consciousness that will be alive even if my physical body is gone, right? Self-pacifying parapsychism, we are going to talk about parapsychism, out-of-body experiences, and other experiences as well. Existential program or life mission, the sense of having a mission in your life, okay? Healthy self-retrocognitions. So guys, retrocognitions is when you remember a past life, okay? This is the technical name for remembering a life that you had before this one. So some people remember previous lives, experiences they've had, right? And notion regarding the evolutionary mechanism. This is like the last chapter, the last question of the intermissivist tests. So it's more like high level of information that we need to digest, but we are going to get there, okay? So this is what we are gonna do during the book club, okay? And so far, any questions? Kim and Michiko, if you keep looking at the comments and there are any questions, please let me know because I can see from here. Okay,
Yep, sure.
good. All right, guys. So now we are going to go to the discussion of the book introduction. Okay, we are going to have a few minutes now. So you guys are going to get together in breakout rooms and you are going to be talking about a few things, okay? A few things I want you to think about. Oops, sorry. First, if you have read the book, this intro chapter, you are going to have a discussion about the questions. You're going to see in the intro there are a few questions, right? Did you guys have a read? Yes. So you're going to see that there are a few questions, like a Q&A, right? So I want you guys to discuss these questions and answers and come with one topic, one of the topics of all these that you have a question about, that the group wants to know about this or to comment about this, okay? And for those who haven't read the chapter, I want you guys who have read it to share a little about what this intro of the book talks about, okay? So this is the main thing. So have a chat about the chapter and the group will select one topic of all of these that you want to talk about, you want to have a discussion about. Okay? Is it okay?
Tathiana, can I just clarify? You're basically referring to all the questions that are in bold, right?
Yes, everything.
How do you know if you attended an intermissive course? How were intermissive courses discovered? All of everything like that.
Yes.
Okay. Yep.
Okay. You're ready? Yes. So Michiko, can you help us put the group in breakout rooms?
Yep, sure. I'll start the rooms
We are
now.
going
how
to
long-
have, you
how
guys are
long-
going to have 8 minutes.
Okay.
Okay? Good, good. I want to hear from you guys. Who is gonna start? I wanna see how it went. Just for you to know, guys, we are going to have now around 10 minutes for discussions, okay?
I mean, in our group, there was kind of a rapid fire succession of questions that could discuss. All of them, I think, really bigger than 10 minutes each one. So, I don't know. Do we want to? I'll just chuck a couple out there. The first is, what qualifies us for an intermissive course? So what was there a life or some particular step that we took that and qualifies us to apply or to be accepted to an intermissive course? Then, given the timeline that you mentioned, 1950s or so on, does that mean that we are now like the first cohort of people that are doing intermissive courses? Because before there people weren't doing that. So does this mean if one of us, or if we have intermissive courses, are we like the first batch, the trial class or something? And also, what about all the luminaries in the past, people like Plato or Apollonia Tathiana, or people that were significant in history? Did they not have intermissive courses? So these are some of the questions.
Great questions. Okay. Maybe we don't have time to address all this, but keep these questions, because throughout the book club we might come back to these questions and address them depending on the chapter we are, right? But in terms of, I guess the question I can answer to you guys now I'll share my screen real quick, and it's just one slide, quick one, okay? That is about the requirements for the intermissive course. That's exactly what it is. So it's good to share with you guys. So how did we end up in an intermissive course if we did, right? If we feel that we had prepared ourselves before we were born. The first requirement is to have gone through the desoma. What is the desoma? We call desoma how do you say that in English, Kim?
Deactivation.
Deactivation,
of the
yes, thank you. So when we deactivate the physical body, which we call soma, we deactivate this body, so we call desoma. We die, right? We pass away, we discard the physical body, and we start living in the extra-physical dimensions, right? So this is the first requirement, but it's not just the requirement that you just die, discard the physical body, and start living in the extra-physical dimension. Here you can say that the requirement is have experienced the second deactivation of the bodies. What is that? So the first deactivation is when we die and we discard this physical body, okay? This we know well. The second deactivation of the body means that we discard the energies as well. You remember the energosoma, that other body of the four, the energetic body? So when we die and we discard the physical body, sometimes we still continue manifesting ourselves with the energies of this last life. And this makes things much difficult for us to be aware of the new reality. Sometimes when we die, I don't know if you heard these stories when people die and they don't know they have died. So they are living in the intraphysical life, but people don't see them. There are many movies like that, right? So this happens when we go through the physical, like the soma, we go through death, but we don't get rid of the energies related to this life. So we are connected to this life, sometimes because we have things in this life that we don't want to be distant of. People, things in life, people we love, sometimes work, money, possessions, and we just are not aware. So when we go through this second desoma, we discard the energies, we are aware of the reality. We know where we are, we know what we are, we know our reality, and then we can choose what we are going to do, okay? And the second requirement is have a positive balance in your personal evolutionary record. Have a good balance. Have had a history, an evolutionary history up to that moment that is more positive than negative. It's not to say that you are the most evolved person on earth, but your history shows that you have a positive balance in your account, okay? And the last one, self-positioning, genuine will to step out of the comfort zone. Because when you do this kind of training, we are going to discuss this a lot throughout the book club. You do a lot of self-research, which is not easy, okay? So these are the basic requirements and there is one more, you want to do it, right? If you want to do it, it's a good thing. There are people who are extra physically aware of their reality. They have a positive balance in their records, but they don't want to study. They're not interested, okay? So that's it. Let's go ahead to the other group then.
Well, I'll just add that in our group, it was a lovely conversation. We were talking about the requirements, but as you mentioned all of them already, I'm not gonna take much time on it. Thank you.
Okay. Any other requirements that you guys came up with?
Yeah, I think that it's part of the balance, but we were talking about like willing to be part of something bigger. You're not only interested in yourself, looking at your belly button. You have this concept assistance. You want to help do something that's not only for yourself.
Yeah, this is a part of it. And this, when someone has this kind of aim, it gives a good possibility that they have a good balance in their personal register, because they are more aware of this reality, right? More not only their reality, but the community and people around them. Who else, guys?
We spoke also about how things were before 1945, before the intermissive course was set, and how those consciousnesses were preparing for their next life, and how did they prepare their praxis in the absence of the intermissive course. And yeah.
Great question. So Professor Valdo Vieira, who is the proposer of this theory, he talked many times about this, because wow, if there was no intermissive course before, how would people prepare themselves, like these people who made many changes, positive changes in the world. So what he used to say is that there would be some kind of training, not like wholesale like it is now, because the university, you have like tons of people in the university being trained and prepared and all that. It was more sort of like an individual kind of mentoring that people who had more possibilities of making change would have this extra physical support of more evolved consciousnesses that would tutor them and help them create an intraphysical mission or a life project to develop when they were born. So it was not like wholesale, it was more like individual support to these people who would have more possibilities of creating change, But we are going to have lots of discussions about this, okay? There's a lot of stuff.
Do you know any tertulias or I don't know, tertulias about this topic?
Yeah, I can. I have in my notes. I can share with you, but they are in Portuguese, so everyone knows. The tertulias are some activities that Professor Vieira used to give, like lectures on many topics. It's like classes, right? That we could take, but they are in Portuguese. You can find some of them in English with subtitles, but there are tons of them in multiple topics in conscientiology, but they are in Portuguese, unfortunately. Okay? Guys, one more question or comment before we prepare for the next meeting.
Is it that we also attend some sort of lessons or courses during our sleep?
Yes, we do. We do. So start taking notes, Sergey, of when you wake up, the kinds of dreams and experiences you have, like everyone, okay? Because we can project out of our bodies now and go to the Intermissive Course and watch the courses as well, okay? The ones that are happening now. By the way, they are much more advanced than the one we did a few decades ago, or many decades ago, okay? So we definitely can do that. Yes, okay. Guys.
There's one more question if you have
yes.
time. From Daniela, I think, I'm not sure, it's what determined the initiation of this type of course? Oh, what determined the initiation of this new type of course? Yeah, the ones that we have now.
In terms, I didn't understand the question.
The way I understand it is why did the courses change and we now have this kind of course? What made
Okay, good question. So as we live on the Intermissive courses, they were implemented on this planet, okay, based on courses that were, it was like copied, sort of like copied from other planets, being really like very informal talking here. So there was a time on Earth that we were like starting evolving, right? We all are evolving. And there was this point that there were sort of like a good number of people that were more aware of these realities and wanted to be qualified. And that's when the more evolved consciousnesses started implementing this set of, theory and practices and disciplines to prepare in a more technical way people to their life missions, okay, their praxis. So this happened because we started evolving, which is good, right? Guys, unfortunately, we are almost in our time to finish, right? And before we go, okay, this is just like a sample of what all the interesting stuff we are going to be discussing. And I do want to hear from you guys as well, okay, your experiences. I'm very curious about that. I'm going to share with you guys something that you need to do for the next meeting, okay? So we have the intermission impossible. Sorry. So it's intermission is how I'm gonna call our homework. Okay, we have a mission and it's a good one. So what we're going to do, we have 4 weeks to the next meeting, Kim and Michiko, around 4 weeks.
Yeah, yep.
Right,
much.
so we have 4 weeks. I want you guys to think about your Intermissive course 24 hours a day. Okay, so we have some mission for you. The first one, read chapter 1 and 2. You're going to see they are small chapters. It's not long. The book is pretty easy to read, even though the book has a lot of neologisms that I did my best to try to translate them into a more easier way to understand, okay? So read the 2 chapters. Number 2, insight. Select one passage of each chapter that drew your attention. Explain why you have found them important or relevant or impactful for you. So when you read, is there like a sentence or an example or a word that, makes you think? So write this down because I want to hear from you next meeting, okay? 3, real life connections. Find real life examples that relate to these chapters. Well, if you are reading the chapter and you think about something that you have experienced that is related to that chapter, just write it down. I want you to share with us next time, okay? Number 4, answer the following questions. This one, you don't need to share if you don't want to, okay? The other I want you to share next meeting. But number 4, not really if you don't want to. So related to chapter 1, have you got any fears, doubts, or phobias that prevent you from manifesting yourself fully with confidence? You're going to understand why I asked this question, because the chapter has to do with this, okay? And chapter 2, what is your earliest memory of having the conviction of being a consciousness? When did you find out you are immortal? Right? There was a moment in your life that if you try to remember, were you a kid? Were you like an adolescent? Was it like a few years ago? When did you just like, oh, wow, I understand, I get it. Oh, I'm a consciousness. I'm not going to die. This life is not the only life I'm going to have. So when did this happen to you? When did you have this conviction, right? Try to remember that moment when you first thought about these ideas. And then write your thoughts, sentiments, and ideas about that experience, okay? And 5, mind saturation technique. You are going to reflect on the theme of the Intermissive Course for 30 minutes every day, be it reading, writing about the theme, reflecting on your experiences, writing questions of things you don't understand about the theme. Make notes. Don't just think about it. Make your notes. Open a file in your computer about Intermissive Course and write about it. Write your ideas, feelings, memories, anything, any sensation that you might have, okay? This will help you by the end of the year, and I assure you that, okay? All right, guys, any questions? So, Michiko, you have this homework for them somewhere, right?
Yes, so this will be uploaded by tomorrow on our website, and I'll put the link there. Magali also posted it to our chat, but we'll go ahead and upload it to the website. So check again tomorrow. So thanks for that, Tathiana. Thank you everyone so much for your participation. And we invite you to join us at our next meeting, which will be on the 19th of August, so in about 4 weeks. So let's, read the chapters, prepare some of the activities, and we can come together next month and share our experiences or thoughts in our next meeting. So thank you, everyone, and see you next month.
Thank you, guys. See you next month.
Thank
Bye.
you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.